Hi everyone, it's Shari Carroll for SimonsSaysStamp.com, and I'm going to be trying a really new fun technique for myself. And I've gotten my inspiration from my friend Lydia Fielder, and it's called marbling with the Misti tool. I'm starting off this technique with some Simon Says Stamp inks, and I have Duckling, Hydrangea, Willow, and Sea Glass. Some of these I know will go together really well, and the Hydrangea, I'm just not quite sure, so we'll see how this goes. I'm using the basic striped stamp set from Simon Says Stamp, and I have the largest stripe on my Misti tool here. So I'm going to start off with a little bit of the Sea Glass ink, and just kind of in the middle. And I'm going to tap around the edges of that just to kind of mute it out a little bit with my fingertip. You could use a glove if you want, but I'm just going to go ahead and do my fingertip. And I'm going to go ahead and press this down. I know that this is going to make my paper pull up because not the entire stamp is inked, so I'm going to go ahead and try to pry this up just a little bit. But the idea of using the Misti tool is the positioning of it. So I can go ahead and scoot that paper right over to the edge and go ahead and continue doing my inking. I'm going to go ahead and go in and add some of the Willow, and I'm just kind of touching the ink pad to the two ends. And again, I'm going to use my finger and kind of mute out or soften up the edges of the ink pad on the stamp. And the more I tap around with my fingers, the softer it gets, and then I don't have fingerprint marks when I'm done. I'm going to go ahead and shut this again and press that down. So now I'm starting to build up the layers of color. Next, I'm going to go ahead and go in with the hydrangea, and this time I'm just using my finger, and I'm going to add it to a couple of the spots where the sea glass is, or the sea glass is on the paper. I know that the blue and the purple will go well together. One of the things that does not go well together is green and purple. It sometimes makes brown, but if it happens to overlap, I'm not going to worry about it too much. We'll just kind of see how this goes. So you can kind of see I've just added a few spots, and I'll go ahead and stamp those down. And at this point it's really light. I'm being really timid about this until I figure out how this is going. So I've decided I want to add a little bit more sea glass to this to start darkening this up. The beauty of doing this is that you can continue to create the layers on top of each other and by building up the color. So starting really light works out really well for this, and then you can start adding the bolder colors on top, or just continue to add your layers until your colors become darker. So this is starting to marble. I'll go ahead and show you a little bit. I know it's kind of blown out on the camera, it gets closer to the lights, but it is starting to marble a little bit. And what I mean by marble is it's starting to overlap and kind of creating new colors. So the purple and the sea glass have created a little bit more of a newer color. And so now I'm going to go in with the duckling, and the duckling is a yellow color, but it kind of adds a little bit more orange color when you put it over the purple. So it's kind of interesting how these colors work out. So again, I've only used a little bit, and I'll see how this goes. I'll press this down, and you can kind of see the colors that I've used on the stamp through the clear of the Misti. But I'll go ahead and lift this up and start to see where some of that yellow is going to come through. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and press that against the side there, but I am seeing the marbling here. I know it's a little bit harder for you to see on screen, and I'm going to go back in with a little bit more duckling. This is a real relaxing technique, and you actually get really specified color where you want it just by using your finger and the inks. And be sure to use a solid image. You won't get the same out of a detail type image. So, and one of the things to make sure that you do is to go ahead and scoot your paper up to the right, or actually I use my Misti as a left-handed tool, so scoot it to the edge of the Misti tool. That way you'll get a really nice crisp image. I'm going to just go back and continue adding bits of color here and there, and also go back and add a little bit more blue and a little bit more of the willow and also the hydrangea. But right now I'm adding a little bit deeper duckling, and I'm going to go ahead and press this down. And if you notice, I kind of press my fingers in the areas where I put the ink down, and that just gives me a really good impression. So I'll lift that up. You can see that that is now starting to get a little bit darker. Here's a better look at how the marbling turned out, where all the colors mix in together, and the property of the inks really allows them to blend into the paper, so I'm really happy with how this turned out. And I ended up having a really happy accident. I used my Wink Stella white pen and I squeezed it a little bit too much and I got some dots of the Wink Stella on my card, so I kind of just went with it and added a few more extra dots along with a few sequins. I hope I've given you some inspiration on another way to use your Misti tool, and as always, thanks for watching.